So you're doing this. You're doing the National Theatre. What's this? The play? It's a different play.
It's a new play by Jack Thorne, directed by Sam Mendes, called The Motive and the Cue, and it's about Richard Burton's Hamlet on Broadway in 1964, which John Gielgud directed. And it's a lovely, very touching play. But I didn't really know anything about this production, but it's a huge success, but a sort of personal disaster for both of them.
Right.
Because Burton hero worshipped Gielgud, but it didn't work. It didn't gel, and it's basically all about that. It's about why we do it, why we do art, why we do theatre.
Yes.
It's really lovely, and Tuppence Middleton plays Liz Taylor, who is the sort of go-between between the two of them. So yeah, it's lovely.
Weird name, isn't it? Tuppence Middleton.
Yeah, I call her 2P.
Yeah, she's from somewhere near Bristol, I think, isn't she originally?
Don't know.
That's first.
You're the expert on the lady.
I don't know that because I did a gig in Bristol. I think I did one of these in Bristol, and she came up as a local resident, and I found it funny. Tuppence.
It's a nice name, isn't it?
It's a nice. Well, is it? Yeah, it is. A little old baby. Let's call it Tuppence. Yeah. It's also the name for vagina, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
You're the expert on the lady. Your reputation precedes you, Richard. Is it?
I think like it's a childish name for the.
Well, you could say that about a lot of things.
Tuppence.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. Tuppence
Well,
has got a tuppence.
You say that, Dick. Don't you? Dick Herring, that could be something else.
Michael McIntyre was the first person to point out in my entire life that my name is Dick Herring. It took Michael McIntyre in 2007, just before he was launched to stardom. I think that was the moment.
That's much bluer than his usual material.
It is. But isn't that weird that that never occurred to me or the many people who've tried to make jokes about my name? And so, that's why Michael McIntyre's genius is.
Yeah.
He managed to take that down to the 3 parts and make it about anal sex. So the National Theatre. You're also working on a play, The Way Old Friends Do, which that one's about. I saw a little ad popped up on Instagram for that one.
That's written by my husband, and I directed that. That's just finished at Birmingham Rep and is now on tour, coming to London next week.
Okay.
It's about the world's first ABBA tribute band in drag.
Okay.
That's not a true story. It's about 2 old school friends who meet up again in middle age, and they had a kind of triggering experience as kids when they did some ABBA songs at school. It went very badly wrong, and then they have the idea to fill an unnecessary gap by doing an ABBA tribute band in drag, which amazingly no one has done. It's not been thought of.
Right. Yeah.
So it's
and sort of that's become not quite topical, but the drag thing has turned into this sort of
strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very strange. So strange how also it's sort of. Drag is like the victim of its own success, because if it hadn't gone so mainstream because of RuPaul, I don't think it would be now ammunition in the culture war the way it is.
No.
I was just saying to you, wasn't I? It's now, as of yesterday, illegal to do drag in Connecticut. So it's the beginning of something. And it's just so terrifying. There's that Jon Stewart interview pointed out. It's like, the problem is guns, it's not lipstick. It's just astonishing how mad America has got. And, we're going to get our pound shop version of it.
Yes.
And it already are, I think. The way that certain things are being used are being weaponized in this sort of phony war.
Yeah, well, it's artificial. It's
artificial outrage.
Yeah, I'm making a problem that isn't there. Surely, I mean, it's not
when there are actual problems.
Yeah,
very big ones.
Yeah, and so it's a distraction thing, but it's also sort of going, what if people in drag went into schools and started having sex with each other, which isn't what drag is about. And then that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So it's
well, there's so much of that, isn't there? It's a confirmation bias that the idea is floated, and then people, my father-in-law will then repeat it back to you because the Daily Express says it's actually happening.
Yes.
And then you get this extraordinary vicious circle of self belief and confirmation. He's going, you know, the mythical they.
Yes.
I see they've banned this now, and you go, they haven't. Whoever they are, they haven't. Yeah. But they believes it, and then you cannot break that. It becomes a matter of faith. That's the thing. It's weird. It's back to religion. It's a sort of zealotry, isn't it? I think, like Brexit. It's like despite all the evidence, it is a question of faith, and they would rather die than say opposite.
Yeah. Do you feel it's I mean, is that a big portion? Is it like?
Well, they're in the fucking government.
They are.
They're in charge of us.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm afraid so. I mean, you read those polls every day about how much it's dwindling and how people want to rejoin, etc. But unfortunately, the ruling party doesn't want to engage with that, and nor does the opposition.
No.
So we are living in a gas-filled world of misinformation, and some of it, Jesus Christ. Sunak the other day, with his Northern Ireland Accord, his Windsor Agreement, nothing to do with the king, but called by his name, and he actually stood there and said, "This is amazing. It gives the Irish people all the advantages of the free market." And you're going, I mean, the smell of gas was overpowering. It's like, how can you do that with a straight face?
Yeah.
You know, Jesus God.
Do you think it will? You know, is it a period of madness, or do you think it will deflate and go away, or will someone sensible take over?
I think
and sort things out for us.
My personal feeling is that what will happen is it will become the settled idea that it was a terrible idea, but no one will ever actually say it. It'll just be quietly, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. But by which time the economic and damage is absolutely off the chart. But then, I don't know, honestly, to sound like a Daily Express leader, I don't know what's happened to this country. The fact that we are just cheerfully filling our drinking water with excrement, and no one seems, well, apart from Fergal Sharkey, who saw that coming, is able to do anything about it. It's just mad. It's like we're just spiraling into madness. And yeah, I don't want to. I'm a natural optimist, but it's taken a hit, I have to say.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, but that's so in the cause of. It's interesting with the Larry Grayson thing, which sort of comes up in the piece. Is Larry Grayson is surprised that, you know, like the younger generation in the 1970s, 80s are able to like
hold hands
and show affection. He doesn't like it, but you know, we've moved on a long way from there. I mean, I hope it won't pull back too far.
Well, that's the danger. You know, we imagine progress just keeps progressing, and in fact, there are, you know, constant backpedaling. You know, or you just think, oh well, you know, genuinely, this country at the time of the Olympics, I think there was a general and genuine feeling that we were in a good place. Yeah. Something good was happening. The Olympics was a massive success. We felt forward-looking. David Cameron was Prime Minister, but it was okay. He was pretty progressive. And Jesus, how 10 years later, it's unbelievable, unrecognizable. And there's so much of it is totally unnecessary. It's just manufactured outrage and belligerence and nastiness, and people like Suella Braverman. Fuck me, what is she? She makes Priti Patel look nice. I mean, she's barely human. She's just evil, and it's nastiness for the sake of it. Remember, Theresa May famously said people still think of us as the nasty party. And you're going, well, you should look ahead in the future. Gosh, it's gone very political, hasn't it? It's quite exciting.